The Armed Forces of Ukraine, AFU, have reportedly made significant progress in their ongoing counteroffensive against Russian forces in the southern parts of the country. According to the Ukrainian Defense Deputy Minister Hanna Maliar, the AFU have reclaimed 130 square kilometers of territory from Russian control since the counteroffensive began. The situation in the south has not changed much over the past week, with Ukrainian forces continuing their operations in the Melitopol and Berdyansk sectors. The Ukrainian military claims to have expanded the deoccupied area by 17 square kilometers over the past week. In the Tavria direction, Russian forces launched 148 attacks on Ukrainian positions last week, resulting in a total of 3,861 strikes. In response, Ukraine's missile and artillery units carried out 8,783 fire missions. Despite the intensity of the Russian attacks, the Ukrainian military seems to be holding its ground and inflicting considerable losses on the Russian side. The deputy minister claimed that the Russian forces suffered 8 times more casualties than the Ukrainian side in the past week. Ukrainian forces also reportedly launched over 110 strikes on Russian personnel clusters, destroying 17 enemy air defense missile systems, hitting 11 command posts, and destroying 7 ammunition depots. The Ukrainian military also claims to have destroyed a significant amount of Russian military equipment, including 2 K-52 attack helicopters, 1 Mi-24 helicopter, and 48 out of 51 Iranian-produced Shahed 136 drones. While these reports indicate progress on the part of the Ukrainian military, the situation remains highly fluid, and the ongoing conflict continues to cause significant human suffering and damage to infrastructure. International efforts to bring about a diplomatic resolution to the conflict are ongoing, but so far, a lasting peace agreement has not been reached. Ukrainian forces have reportedly successfully cleared a Russian bridgehead on the western bank of the Siverskyi Donets-Donbas canal, according to Colonel General Oleksandr Sirsky, the commander of the ground forces of the Armed Forces of Ukraine. He also shared a GoPro video featuring soldiers of the 1st Company of the 1st Mechanized Battalion of the 3rd Separate Assault Brigade. In the video, these troops are shown to have defeated the 3rd Battalion of the 57th Guards Motorized Rifle Brigade of the Russian Federation. Sirsky praised the soldiers for their excellent work and for successfully evacuating a wounded comrade. In his announcement, the commander emphasized that Ukrainian soldiers had managed to clean up the enemy bridgehead on the western bank of the Siverskyi Donets-Donbas canal. He noted that Ukrainian defense forces continue to push back Russian invaders from positions on the flanks of Bakhmut and are regaining control over territories in the region. While this represents a tactical victory, the overall conflict continues, and it's clear that significant challenges remain. As the situation evolves, the focus of the international community remains on finding a peaceful resolution to the conflict. According to the General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, there were significant losses to Russian military personnel and equipment over the past day. The Ukrainian forces reportedly killed approximately 950 enemy soldiers, destroyed 1 Russian tank, 14 armored combat vehicles, and 21 artillery systems. From the 24th of February to the 26th of June 2023, the General Staff estimates the total losses of Russian troops as follows. Military personnel, approximately 225,580, an increase of 950. Tanks, 4,031, an increase of 1. Armored fighting vehicles, 7,820, an increase of 14. Artillery systems, 4,055, an increase of 21. Multiple launch rocket systems, 624, no change. Air defense systems, 385, no change. Fixed-wing aircraft, 314, no change. Helicopters, 308, no change. Tactical UAVs, 3,482, an increase of 10. Cruise missiles, 1,259, no change. Ships and boats, 18, no change. Vehicles and tankers, 6,751, an increase of 16. Other vehicles and equipment, 557, an increase of 5. The continued heavy losses indicate that the conflict is still ongoing and intense. It's crucial to note that while these numbers provide some sense of the scale of the conflict, they don't fully capture the human cost and suffering caused by the war. According to the Air Force of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, the Ukrainian air defense units successfully thwarted multiple air attacks from Russian forces on the night of June 26, 2023. The Russian forces launched 3 Caliber cruise missiles from a submarine in the Black Sea, and 8 Iranian-made Shahed 131 attack drones from the eastern coast of the Sea of Azov. Ukrainian air defense units from Air Command Pivden, south, destroyed 2 of the Caliber cruise missiles and 7 of the Shahed attack drones. Additionally, Russian forces launched an attack from the north using 4 unmanned aerial vehicles of an unknown type, likely attack drones. All these drones were destroyed by the Ukrainian Air Force in the area of responsibility of Air Command Center. This highlights the ongoing intensity of the conflict and the significant capabilities of the Ukrainian air defense units in intercepting and neutralizing incoming attacks from various directions. It's also noteworthy that the Russians are using a variety of methods and equipment for these attacks, including cruise missiles, various types of drones, and different launch locations, including both terrestrial and marine-based launches. According to a statement by Governor Serhiy Lysak on June 26th, the city of Nikopol in Dnipropetrovsk Oblast, Ukraine, was hit by Russian artillery, leading to the death of 2 civilians and the injury of another. The artillery reportedly targeted a private company, resulting in the death of a 51-year-old woman and a 50-year-old man. Another man, aged 49, was injured and hospitalized. Nikopol is situated close to Russian positions across the dried-up Kakhovka Reservoir, as well as the occupied Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant. Because of its strategic location, the city is frequently subjected to artillery shelling from Russian forces. The Kakhovka Reservoir dried up after the dam of the Kakhovka hydroelectric power plant collapsed on June 6th. The Ukrainian authorities claim that the dam was intentionally destroyed by Russian forces to impede a Ukrainian counteroffensive. This latest incident underscores the severity of the ongoing conflict and its devastating impact on civilian populations. According to an update from the UK Defence Ministry on June 26th, Ukrainian forces have been making progress in their counteroffensive around the city of Bakhmut, advancing on both the northern and southern flanks. The ministry's latest intelligence update indicates that Russia does not appear to have significant ground forces operational level reserves that could be used to reinforce against the multiple threats it is currently facing in widely separated sectors. These sectors range from Bakhmut to the eastern bank of the Dnipro River, a distance of over 200 kilometers. Ukraine's Deputy Defense Minister Hanna Maliar also reported successes in the Bakhmut area. Last week, Ukrainian troops began counteroffensive actions in Orikovo-Vasilivka, Bakhmut, Bodanivka, Yahidne, Klishchiivka, and Kurdyumivka. In each of these directions, the Ukrainian military has advanced 1 to 2 kilometers. Maliar noted that over the past week, Russian forces continued offensive actions towards Lyman, Bakhmut, Avdiivka, and Marinka in Donetsk Oblast. However, they were unsuccessful in dislodging Ukrainian troops from their positions. Ukrainian forces have also liberated an additional 17 square kilometers of land in the south. Since the beginning of the counteroffensive, Ukraine has regained a total of 130 square kilometers on that front line. Maliar stated that in the past week, Russia's casualties have been 8 times higher than Ukrainian ones. According to an update from the UK Defence Ministry on June 26th, Ukrainian forces have been making progress in their counteroffensive around the city of Bakhmut, advancing on both the northern and southern flanks. The ministry's latest intelligence update indicates that Russia does not appear to have significant ground forces operational level reserves that could be used to reinforce against the multiple threats it is currently facing in widely separated sectors. These sectors range from Bakhmut to the eastern bank of the Dnipro River, a distance of over 200 kilometers. Ukraine's Deputy Defense Minister, Hanna Maliar, also reported successes in the Bakhmut area. Last week, Ukrainian troops began counteroffensive actions in Orikovo-Vasilivka, Bakhmut, Bodanivka, Yahidne, Klishchiivka, and Kurdyumivka. In each of these directions, the Ukrainian military has advanced 1 to 2 kilometers. Malier noted that over the past week, Russian forces continued offensive actions towards Lyman, Bakhmut, Avdiivka, and Marinka in Donetsk Oblast. However, they were unsuccessful in dislodging Ukrainian troops from their positions. Ukrainian forces have also liberated an additional 17 square kilometers of land in the south. Since the beginning of the counteroffensive, Ukraine has regained a total of 130 square kilometers on that front line. Maliar stated that in the past week, Russia's casualties have been 8 times higher than Ukrainian ones. According to intelligence data referenced by the UK Ministry of Defense, Ukrainian forces have been intensifying their attacks around the town of Bakhmut in the Donetsk region, making progress on both its northern and southern flanks. This development is part of Ukraine's broader counteroffensive. The ministry's assessment also suggests that Russia may lack significant operational ground forces reserves that could be mobilized to reinforce against the multiple threats it is currently facing. These threats extend across widely separated sectors, from Bakhmut to the eastern bank of the Dnipro River, a distance of over 200 kilometers. As of now, there seems to be little evidence that Russia maintains any such reserves. A recent survey conducted by SW Research for Rzeczpospolita reveals that the majority of Poles believe the Ukrainian armed forces counteroffensive will be successful, but will not end the war. Out of those surveyed, 22% believe the counteroffensive will lead to a Ukrainian victory and the end of the war. 48.2% believe the counteroffensive will be successful, but not end the war, and 12.2% do not believe in the success of Ukraine's counteroffensive. Meanwhile, 17.6% of the respondents did not have an opinion on the matter. The survey found that men were more likely than women to believe that the Ukrainian military would succeed without ending the war, 55% versus 42%. More than half of the respondents under 24 and those with higher education, 53% and 51% respectively, also hold this belief. The same view was held by 55% of respondents with an income of 3,000 zlotys, $497.35, and by 57% of people in cities with populations between 100,000 to 199,000 residents. These findings come amid reports that the Ukrainian counteroffensive, primarily occurring in the southern part of the country and in the Donbas region, is viewed as a diversionary maneuver by Russian military bloggers. Meanwhile, CNN journalists have reported that, according to their sources, Ukraine's counteroffensive operations have had less success than expected in the West. They noted, however, that the operation is still in its initial stages, with Ukrainians adapting to Russian defensive tactics, and Western partners remain optimistic about its results. According to the spokesperson for the Joint Press Center of the Tavria Defense Forces, Valery Shershin, the village of Rivnopil in the Volnovakha district of the Donetsk region was completely empty of civilians when it was liberated by Ukrainian defense forces. The village had been destroyed almost entirely and was surrounded by extensive minefields. Engineering troops had to break through these minefields to facilitate the deoccupation of the village. Stabilization measures in the area are ongoing. On June 25th, the 2nd Separate Mechanized Battalion of the 31st Mechanized Brigade successfully liberated the village of Rivnopil from Russian invaders. Andrei Yusov, a representative of the main intelligence agency of the Ministry of Defense of Ukraine, has stated that there is a growing reluctance among Russian security forces, officials, and citizens to publicly defend President Vladimir Putin's regime. This comment comes in light of the actions of Yevgeny Prigozhin, the leader of the Wagner private military company, and what Yusov sees as a reflection of broader internal Russian conflicts. According to Yusov, recent events and the apparent lack of public support for Putin's regime suggest that the government does not fully control the situation within the Russian Federation. He emphasized that the observed transformation within Russia is just the beginning and has not yet concluded, predicting further disastrous consequences for the Putin regime. Despite the Kremlin's declaration that the rebellion case against Prigozhin will be stopped and that he will be allowed to leave for Belarus without obstruction, it was later reported that the criminal case against Prigozhin for organizing the rebellion has not been terminated. The situation, Yusov suggests, is indicative of the shaky control Putin's regime has on the country. It is important to note that this information reflects the perspective of Ukrainian intelligence and may not fully capture the nuanced dynamics within Russia. As always, in complex geopolitical matters, multiple sources should be consulted for a more comprehensive understanding.